275. 275, got it.
This is the Sig BDX scope system, and what that stands for is Ballistic Data Exchange. What it does is allow shooters who may not completely grasp bullet drop and ballistic charts to immediately and easily shoot at long range. It is so easy. All you do is take the rangefinder, range the target that you want to hit, and the scope will automatically recalculate for the bullet drop, placing a dot on the correct holdover. This is pretty amazing technology and will allow new shooters or young shooters to easily get into long-range shooting without the seemingly somewhat daunting learning curve that can come with long-range shooting. For those that have absolutely no experience shooting long range, what happens is the bullet starts to drop, and it drops more as the distance increases. So what you have to do is make adjustments moving the reticle inside the scope so you can get effective hits at your desired range. More variables come into play. Different bullets drop at different rates, and the aerodynamic profile of the projectile as well as the amount of powder used all play a factor. This is kind of starting to sound pretty complicated, but it's 2019. Wouldn't it be great if we could just hit a button and make an app for that? Well, that is exactly what SIG has done. The BDX system works through Bluetooth, allowing your rangefinder to communicate with your scope using information imported from an app on your phone to do all the ballistic calculations and work for you. And seeing it work is pretty astonishing.
Alright, I got you ranged to 3, go ahead. Alright, I'm going to move you out to 5. Should be on at 5, go ahead. Impact.
Let's start off by talking about what you get. There are several different models, but I got a kit with both the scope and the rangefinder together. They are available separately and can also be used independently of one another. I also want to mention that SIG has these scopes and this system priced extremely competitively. You actually get this entire kit for less than what you might expect to pay for just the scope alone. In this kit, I got the Kilo 2400 BDX rangefinder, and this is an excellent compact rangefinder that is capable of ranging out to 3,400 yards on reflective surfaces and 1,300 yards on a soft surface like a deer. It is very ergonomic and simple to use. This kit came paired with the Sierra 3 BDX scope, which has a 6.5 to 20 power magnification with a 52mm objective lens. This scope has exceptionally clear glass, especially given the price point it comes in at. It has parallax adjustment, brightness settings, and it has nice affirmative adjustments on the turrets, which are both capped because once you zero, you won't need those anymore. And the most impressive thing this scope has is, it is equipped with the BDX system. Right now you're probably thinking that's pretty cool, but I'm sure it's complicated and difficult to set up. Well, you'd be very wrong. Let me show you just how easy this is. First off, once you download the app, you will pair the scope and the rangefinder with your phone just like you pair any other Bluetooth device like wireless headphones or your car. Then the only thing you need your phone for is to tell the system what ammunition it is working with. This is the BDX app as you'll see it in your phone. We're going to go in here, we're going to click on Profiles, and that's going to bring up my Bergara 308. That's what you've been seeing us shoot in the video. And here's all the ballistics data for the bullet that I use. We're going to go back. I'm going to show you how I got that. We're going to click on New Profiles. In here, we're going to hit Library. That's going to bring up the bullet library, and the first thing will be all the different calibers available. I'm going to click on 308, but you would pick whatever caliber you were shooting. In here, you have all the manufacturers, and you can see there's a whole bunch. There's Federal, Hornady, Norma, Nosler. You scrolling down, there's SIG. 308, my go-to is Norma. They only have one, the 168 grain match, so I just select that and you're done. That's it. You just pick the bullet and it's got all the information right there from the manufacturer, and you're pretty much ready to shoot. Now, I will say different manufacturers might not be as consistent with this information, but again, you can tweak it in here, or if you're like using a really short barrel and your speed's not going to be as high, you can tweak that in here too. At this point, if all you ever want to do is range a target and shoot it, you never need your phone again. The system will work without it. Now, the app does have a lot more features, but I think most people will be done with it at this point. Also, if you load your own ammo, you can manually input the characteristics of your personal load. Once you get to the range, just turn on the scope and pick up the rangefinder. There is a little blue indicator light on the scope. When you first turn it on, it'll blink, then it should pair with the rangefinder and the light will turn solid. The light will blink quickly when it is receiving new information. Inside the rangefinder, when you range a target, there is also a Bluetooth indicator letting you know that it has sent the information to the scope. Also, inside the rangefinder, you'll see the distance, of course, and according to the information you put in the app on your load, you'll see the adjustment that you need to make. So even if you don't have a BDX scope, the BDX rangefinder will tell you what the drop should be and what to dial, which is pretty impressive to me. Inside the scope, to indicate when you're receiving new information, you'll see a line go up and down, and then the top will generate at the new holdover point. Another thing SIG scopes have is an automated leveling system. On either side of the reticle, you can see a dot that indicates that the scope is slightly out of level and you should level the gun before taking a really long shot. Keep in mind when we're filming through the scope, there's an apparatus that obstructs the shooter's view of the edges of the scope, so it's pretty much going off constantly and we can't see it. How does it work? Amazingly well, actually. To be honest, much better than I ever thought. After zeroing the rifle at 100 yards, we very easily got it out to 200 and 300 yards. Hits were very accurate. We even took it out farther to these targets at about 530 yards and even 700 yards.
That's a good one.
Okay.
Holding in the front of the face.
I'm sorry you're feeling all unhyped parenthesis.
Something to note, you may notice on the longer shots that the dot is flashing. That is letting the shooter know that this shot is beyond the ballistic abilities of the ammunition being used to give an ethical shot on game. Because this system, while it definitely can be used for target shooting, is somewhat tailored towards hunting. What is so great about the BDX system is it lets new shooters or younger shooters use the system and confidently go out to distances that they normally wouldn't be comfortable with. We used it a lot and put it into a lot of different people's hands, and everyone that saw it work was extremely impressed. Basically, if you do your job, it will do its job. The setup is easy, not anywhere near as complicated as you might think, and most importantly, with no ballistic information or even an understanding of what ballistic charts are, you can shoot at some pretty impressive distances with relative ease. Earlier I said the app will actually do a lot of things, and I want to show you just one really cool feature. The BDX system will actually let you build your own custom ballistics reticle inside the app. Once you've told the system the round you are using, you can go into the app. I'm going to click on Sights, and it's going to bring up the ballistic reticle menu, and I'm going to turn the ballistic reticle on. Okay, in here you can have it on fixed holds, or I'm going to click it over to ballistic holds. Okay, so now down the right side, you're going to have like 100 yards, 200 yards, 300 yards, etc. And you can click those on and you'll now have a dot at that hold. So like now I'm going to set one up for myself. I'm going to leave 100 yards on. I'm going to click on 200 yards. And you can actually click on the yardage and change it to the exact yardage you need. I'm going to set this up for the range that I always shoot at. So I'll have a dot exactly where I need it. So now when I go back to the range, I'll have a dot at all the primary distances that I know I shoot at. And here's what that reticle will look like through the scope. You'll also notice that the reticle adjusts for magnification. SIG calls this digital focal plane. What that means is you'll basically have all the advantages of both focal planes because the dots will digitally move to the correct spacing based on your magnification, making them both easy to see and correct at all magnifications. You can also use this feature independently from the rangefinder, like if you only had a BDX scope. This is so cool, and I think it would be an awesome tool for a younger hunter. Say like if you had a green field and you knew that deer typically only presented at certain ranges, you could input those so you could get off a quick shot without having to range the target first. It would also be advantageous to PRS shooters. If you knew the primary ranges that you'd have targets at for a match, you could set those up and be ready to go. I really like this feature. So that's the basic rundown of the SIG BDX system. This is an awesome system that works extremely well and has a ton of features. I really only highlighted the primary ones and my personal favorite custom one. But this thing is extremely capable and customizable, and such a great way to get especially new shooters out shooting long range without the sometimes overwhelming learning curve that comes with it. Also, the price on all this is nowhere near what you might be thinking. SIG is really giving the consumer a ton of value with this one. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching, and a huge thank you goes out to Optics Planet for sending the Sig Sauer BDX for review. This is a super cool scope and a lot of fun to make this video. And just remember, you can save 5% on just about anything at Optics Planet with the code ALArsenal5. You get the gear you want and it helps the channel out at the same time. If you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now. As always, we've got some really big reviews coming that you won't want to miss. If you want to know what we're reviewing way before it hits YouTube, follow us on Instagram and Facebook. There you can see what's being reviewed in real time. If you want to help support Alabama Arsenal, the best possible way to do that is on Patreon. Every little bit helps and is greatly appreciated. These videos are surprisingly expensive to make. There's also gear available right below the video if you want to go out and represent. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching.